Greetings, everyone. I am your tube citizen, Jay Voodoo Child, and we are playing some Star Citizen, a 4.1 build. It is Sunday, April 6th or something like that. So there have been several basically, this patch has been up and running for over a week. I think it released 2 Fridays ago. And so there have been plenty of hot fixes to kind of bring it back up to more playability, stability. I can use my words. And so this is the first time I've played in actually a couple months. It's been difficult for me with the current state of the game. I've tried completing the tutorial unsuccessfully many times because of the bugs. And this is the year of fixing bugs. So I was considering just kind of waiting that period out before I started, quote unquote, playing the alpha and having new features and development roll out to adjust the game and this, adjust with the new play styles and whatnot. But I also kind of want to be more active on the channel, and that there's a book written by an artist, Henry Rollins, musician, and his first book, I believe, is titled, I haven't read it because I generally don't read anymore, is Get on the Bus. And it, from what I hear in interviews, is like he's telling the story about the importance of just doing it. You have the adage of you can't get good at something until you put in 10,000 hours. And as far as developing a YouTube channel, developing a community, you got to put in the sweat equity to make it happen. And so I figured I'd start kind of doing that. The blend, trying to establish a kind of a new parameter now that I have a computer that can play the game, to have gameplay, but also talking and sharing my thoughts about the game in general, and kind of seeing where that goes. So I wish to provide interesting content for you to watch and have a purpose, and more so than just talk about the upgrade minigame, and because that has limits kind of activity and just waiting. That's the key thing, is waiting for the next development in that particular area. So some of the theories, some of the speculation that I have of what will be the future will come to pass or not come to pass. And, then we can talk about those things. But those are very rare. And just talking about upgrade war bond offers, or what is the potential ship release schedules, which are always another form of speculation to try and kind of lock in those upgrades before they jump in price. All that, I don't know, it seems kind of boring in a way. So I just wanted to blend it with something a little more interesting in my actual kind of growth of gameplay. My initial thought was I was going to wait until Squadron 42 released and then kind of get a high-end computer and then start streaming that. But circumstances have developed that I thought it best to kind of get a good computer. I didn't get the maximum computer, but I got a nice computer that is kind of upgradable in its architecture. So that's what I kind of focused on. And so now I can play the alpha, and just wanted to see about that. But I didn't want to wait a year until CIG kind of ran through its cycle of making the game playable. So it's kind of a difficult thing for me. Then I want to get started with the community, but doing that all anyway. So booted up the game first time in a while, and as you can see, the game is running right now. I've completely updated, and I'm actually kind of excited about this part. That we had basically a wipe, I believe. So back at character generation, and that's what this episode is going to be about. Me going through the character, and this is like one of the most time-consuming activities that I do. And we'll kind of get into that. I'm not sure whether I'm going to pause and kind of do a build or try and make some saves, because I do have some alt accounts that I could roll up. But first option is male or female. Now and I've played MMOs before, and this is always an interesting choice. A lot has changed in the gaming community since I've been playing. It's a lot more inclusive with females, and the kind of old stereotype of some kid living in the mother's basement. Well, maybe not even a kid, but some 30-year-old, 40-year-old living in the mother's basement. Gamer type is nowhere near reality, and so there's a lot more diversity. But all along we've been able to play female characters or male characters, and the kind of joke was, well, any female that you're flirting with in game is probably a sweaty guy living in his mother's basement, and that was the joke. Also, I've heard a lot of in a lot of MMOs, you're dealing with a third-person camera view of the game. You're not doing perspective through the character's eyes. And someone has said, well, if I have to look at the rear end of something, I'd rather look at the rear end of a female than a male, because that's just weird for them. And I've always found that kind of approach interesting. So I'm going to go with male, and I'm going to try and come up with, a close representation of my real world look. And body type, that's a little disappointing. I know, or at least I really hope that that's going to change, that the body type is just being male or female, and I'd rather have more kind of weight and girth options, also height options, and that's just dealing with the human species. Hopefully one day, for like a patch, they'll introduce alien packs in which you can create a character that is alien in nature. But that's for the future. So body type is limited. DNA, 47 skin cultures, and lock skin tone. I wonder why you want to do that. But also you can kind of do your own customized. Hair types, facial hair, eyebrows, and color of such. So you can go and do the colors here. There's dyes, in which you have another color palette down here, in which you can kind of the dye amount kind of gives sliders about, you know, the saturation, if you will. And then you can get really into detail of the eyes, the nose, ears, cheeks, mouth. So we got eyes. I think this is cheeks, mouth, tattoos, yeah. And earrings and piercings. And then you have the general review. And, you know, saving and functions there. So, I am going to pause here and just kind of play around with it, because I don't think that's interesting to view. Maybe I'll go back to DNA. All right. Blend. I have not played around with this. Blend brows, excuse me. That's actually fascinating. So you can take different aspects. There we go. We have someone. Alright, yeah, I'm gonna have to play around with that a lot. Well, there's a youngster there. So yeah, I'm gonna go through these things, go offline, and so skin texture. So I guess this is just the general tone. So yeah, I have even more to play with. Also wrinkles and whatnot. So I mean, even here you can see the three ridges here that get more pronounced on some of the different aspects. I guess we can do this while I'm recording, to kind of get the basics. Clear everything on that regard. So we got some fuzz, basic haircut with a bob. All right. This actually might be represented because that's a full tie. I have long hair now. And that's because I have really thick hair for someone of my age. And just in general. And so I like showing it off. It's like one of the last kind of attractive qualities of my body type. So we got the mohawk. I think this is what I have been using previously. And a little bald spot there. Ooh, and some widow's peaks. It's actually kind of interesting. So if you want to go for the Rachel haircut, and this is more, I forget the characters who've had this, but I've seen this on female characters in like sci-fi movies. I can't think of the character or the actress's name. So, the mullet, I'm guessing. Back in the day, I was a big sport, so the mullet. I've always kind of liked this hairstyle in others, not myself. I don't do a whole lot of work with my hair, so that this kind of seems you're always messing with your hair to kind of achieve this peak effect. This is a nice cut. I guess this would be fairly close to when I do cut my hair, even though this is a lot more volume. So a little more hair than this. All right. It's kind of interesting. We got like 3 different versions of this basic style. I guess was being a little more because there's a lot less volume. Yeah, I'm not quite here yet, but it's starting to happen. I don't know. I do have waves, not curls, but kind of waves. This is the only one that's really kind of, curly, which is kind of odd to me. I've always liked these kind of sketches things. I think they look interesting. So, these are the froze. Braids. Oh, I'm just not into ponytails. It's so they have braided ponies, and that's a bunch of hair. Poof. So I wonder how this interacts with your helmet and that sort of thing. That's a cool look. Yeah, I don't get this with males, but not for me. That's all I'll say. You know, what people do with their style and what they find attractive is completely subjective, and more power to them. I like the look of this. It's just, ooh, a lot of work. I don't remember seeing all these. I guess I didn't go that far down the list. But yeah, I remember these mohawks. I guess this isn't. Yeah, I guess it is a mohawk of a sort. This reminds me of the guy from The Cure. This is kind of what I look like when I get my haircut right after. And while I'm tempted to kind of use something like this, it's just, I don't know, boring to me. And I've got main character syndrome for sure. Alright, so do we want the bun? Which I'm considering because of the helmet thing. But buns don't make sense for helmets, but neither does a ponytail tie. But I wasn't really happy with this when I was playing it before. So maybe I'm going away from what reality is. We could try this. See how this looks with some salt and pepper blends. Alright, we'll go with that. So I'm going to pause and go through, let me, I don't know, continue. I have a full beard. I think this is the only full beard, even though it doesn't have... And that looks, I do like the look of long beards, but shaved heads. That's always kind of fascinated me. But yeah, these are too long to represent what I've got going on. But yeah, it's kind of disappointing that you don't have the connectors there. And then I have fairly thick eyebrows. That might be a little too much. I'll probably go with that. Yeah, not a whole lot of options there. Oh, what's going on here? That seems kind of weird. Alright. So this is going to be kind of my base. And we'll come back after a pause with kind of more details. And, you know, I've always wondered if there are artists out there that can take a photo and say, hey, and then, you know, for $50, $20, I don't know, you know, what the cost would be. I guess it would just be time development. But this to commission, hey, I like to have this picture represented in a game. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of what my hair looks like at a certain stage. So yeah, well, we'll go with that. Okay, peoples, are you ready for the review of my hairstylings for my main character? Ta-da! So for hair color, going 55, 33, 50, full gradient. This is just kind of like whether you're dealing with the tips or the full hair. And then for eyebrows, or excuse me, the beard, a lot more gray in my beard. So that's why the sliders are up. And for my eyebrows, not a lot. So I kind of want to have them more dark. It's kind of weird that they fade in and out on the side views. So anyway, that's basic hairstylings. Now I'm going to pause again and kind of work on the specifics and look at the blending styles. So back after that. So I'm pausing it here to kind of review the technique that I'm going to approach for on DNA. When you're going through the different textures, you are getting different skin tone kind of defaults, but all the freckles and sunspots sliders are static. So I'm going to work on this first on kind of just a basic, and then I'll work the textures and just kind of build, you know, start with these, get this dialed in. Eye color, I've already done. Don't spend a whole lot of time looking in the mirror, even though I am gorgeous. So I have really no idea where to put my. And I don't think it really matters. Again, because this particular game is first person. So, yeah, just kind of wanted to show that a little bit. So, back to the boss. All right, we've done some playing around. I'm not sure whether the results are all that accurate or whatnot, but this is kind of what I've settled on. Drum roll, please. Ta-da! I do not have a camera for my computers, so I can't do the facial records. So just want to talk about that briefly. I may post a picture. I tried working with the blending. I'm not sure whether it did any good. I have a lot of more kind of pronounced puffy cheeks, wider forehead that I wasn't able to get. Just a rounder face in general. I tried working with this guy a lot. Where is he? Is this guy? No. Yeah, here he is. Yeah, I have kind of more of those ridges there. And just like a real high cheekbone. But I just wasn't able to get it because anytime I'm just working with this, it's like, or trying to get his nose or mouth going. So, I'm sure there are ways of doing that. It's just I don't want to spend that much time on it. But I'm going to save. Oh, that does not look good. Oh, yeah. Wow. That's a lot different than... Ugh. Yeah, I don't like that at all. Let me load up some of my others. I think with this hairstyle, I was able to get that blend. So yeah, after all that work, I'm gonna go with this guy. And yeah, we're gonna play the tutorial, but I'll save that for next episode. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If so, please give it a thumbs up. After all my work today, and I just went with the old one. So that's just really amusing to me. So I hope you had as much fun as I did with this 34 minutes of runtime, and much longer for me trying to mess around with things and have the end result be not so good. But next episode, we'll start playing the tutorial. And so subscribe and click the bell icon to be notified when that drops. Share with me your comments on your adventures with the character generator. Is the facial recognition thing a good tool for you? Should I start moving towards the camera view, particularly since I do streaming and whatnot? Is that something I should get into? So thank you all for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one. Take care.